This city birthed the man who moved the earth, and most of you don't even know what it is. And it's the gingerbread capital of the world. Welcome to Toruń. Torun is a medieval city of the Vistula River in northern Poland. And its old town is one of the best preserved Gothic urban complexes in the whole entire Europe. It's been a UNESCO World Heritage ever since 1997. But forget the label for a second. Just walk through it with me. The architecture, the cobblestone, the scale of it all. It doesn't feel like a museum piece. It feels very much alive. The city was founded in 1233 by the Teutonic Knights. Yeah, 1233. That's not a mistake. Isn't that crazy? In 1454, after over 200 years of rule, the townspeople had enough. They conquered the Teutonic castle themselves and demolished it brick by brick. Right at the heart of the square is the Old Town Hall, one of the largest Gothic town halls in the whole entire Europe. Today, it's home to the District Museum. 3 floors of medieval art, portrait of Polish kings, royal artifacts, Gothic sculptures. There is a painting here documenting the signing of the Second Peace of Toruń in 1466, the treaty that ended Teutonic rule over the region. History didn't just happen near this building, it happened inside of it. A quick practical tip for anyone planning to visit: the permanent exhibitions here are free every Wednesday. The tower costs extra, but it's worth every penny. So hike up and get the best view of the city. A few streets from the square is the house where one of the history's greatest minds was born. Nicolaus Copernicus, or as you probably know him, Nicolaus Copernicus. He was born in 1473, right here in Torun. He went on to study law, medicine, theology, Greek, and mathematics. And then somewhere in between of all of that, he figured out that the Earth wasn't the center of the universe. The sun was. He moved the Earth, as the Poles say, literally changed how humanity understood its place in the cosmos. And it started in this Gothic townhouse on a quiet street in a city most people couldn't even find on a map. Once you get inside, you get a real feel for how a wealthy medieval merchant family actually lived there. The rooms, the furniture, and most of all the scale of it. There are astronomical instruments, a model of a 15th century Torun, and documents connected to Copernicus himself. Now, in my personal opinion, his house was worth seeing, but if I could take advantage of the free entry on Thursday, I definitely would, because I don't really know if it's worth spending the money to see it. Unless you're like really into astrology, then go for it. Here's a little fun fact for you about Copernicus, as you will. In Torun, you can find the only statue of Copernicus standing, because that was his city. Anywhere else in Poland, if you do find a Copernicus statue, he's probably gonna be sitting down. Now, did you know that Torun has actually something in common with Pisa in Italy? Well, let me shine some light on that mystery. Torun has its own crooked tower. Yes, this crooked tower is Torun's answer to Pisa. However, I believe the legend here is way better. According to the local lore, a Teutonic Knight broke his monastic vows by falling in love, strictly forbidden. As a punishment, he was ordered to build a tower that reflected his own crooked ways. The real reason it leans is far more boring, soft shifting ground underneath, but nobody tells that story. Let's just stick to the lore, shall we? Once you visit the Crooked Tower, right next to it you'll find a 17th century Renaissance granary. It's Monka. Monka is a restaurant, part of a gingerbread flavor trail. They do a pampuk with duck and gingerbread sauce. A pampuk is a traditional Polish steamed dumpling, soft, pillowy, nothing like you would expect. And with duck and gingerbread sauce, somehow it all makes perfect sense. In a city that's been obsessed with gingerbread for 800 years, if you're here, you should definitely give it a try. I will say it's not one of the cheapest meals you'll get in the city, but it is one of a kind, and so if you are visiting Torun, I think it's worth giving it a shot. Moving on, we're going to the Gingerbread Museum. Probably one of the most important parts of the whole trip for me, personally, was the Gingerbread Museum. Before we get to the food though, the building itself is a 19th century factory and now is the largest gingerbread museum in Europe. And yes, it's a real category. Torun has been making gingerbread ever since medieval times. The spices required were so exotic and expensive that for centuries, only the royalty could afford it. When important guests visited the city, they were gifted gingerbread. For example, Catherine the Great received a 2-meter long one. Napoleon was a fan. Copernicus, obviously. And another one of Polish legends, Chopin. After visiting Torun, said the gingerbread left a deeper impression on him than all of the city's architecture combined. Inside of the museum, there is a collection of carved wooden gingerbread molds running from the 17th to the 20th century, the largest in Central Europe. In the basement, a virtual medieval stall holder walks you through a life of a medieval market. Now, the tickets. You have 2 options. You can buy a standard museum entry and explore the exhibition on your own, or, and this is the one I would recommend, and personally the one I got, you buy a ticket that includes a traditional gingerbread making workshop. It's so much fun. Now here's the thing. The gingerbread that you make in these workshops are not edible. These are the kind that are decorative, which was a big thing back in the day where gingerbread used to be gifted. A big part of it is too that it's for sanitary reasons. They do get a lot of school trips, they do get a lot of visitors every day. So since you are given the gingerbread back after you visit the museum, the safe thing is not to eat it. But hey, you can always decorate your Christmas tree with it, you know? Mind you though, this is not the gingerbread you all probably grew up with. It's not the classic American kind, not the store-bought one. It's dark, dense, deeply spiced, and it's not as crunchy. This one is a little bit more soft on the inside, where it does come stuffed covered in chocolate, or you can even get a gingerbread that's been sitting out, aging like a fine wine in whiskey or tequila. But the gingerbread obsession doesn't stop there. Across Torun, you will find gingerbread beer, liquor, even some magnets that are shaped like a gingerbread. Circling back to the Gingerbread Museum for a second, you will get a chance to listen to a few legends while you're in there. Now, these legends are also in English, and I'm pretty sure German was the other language that is available, and also, of course, Polish. Now, those 3 legends are all connected to the history, or well, the legend of the sponge-shaped gingerbread that is Katarzyna, which translates to Catherine. It's a name. Now, a fun fact about that shape, only Torun has the right to produce gingerbread shaped like that. So, it is their tradition, it is their history, it is their lore, so hop on into the museum and listen to the lore. Another one that I think is worth an honorable mention is the Fortress Museum. This one is located a little bit further from the city square. This one is definitely for people who are more into military and stuff like that. The Fortress Museum is a 19th century Persian barracks that tell a military story of the city from the medieval fortifications all the way through the Second World War. My second honorable mention is the Travelers Museum. Now, this museum, I just want to mention, it is a pretty small one. It is a pretty interesting one. You get a lot of artifacts from the travels of Tony Halleck, who was a city-born in 1921 and became one of the most extraordinary adventurers of the 20th century. His wife, the equally legendary traveler Elżbieta Dzikowska, donated their entire collection to his home city. Now, I will say, unfortunately, there is no English translations anywhere. This museum is strictly all in Polish. But if you do go on Wednesday, that museum will be free to enter, so you can still go for the visuals of it, since there is over 800 artifacts. Now, before we wrap it up onto our last segment of today's video, here's a little story of a dog and a donkey. These are the 2 small bronze sculptures that you walk past on the square that are actually worth stopping for. First off, the dog. His name is Filush. He sits in the corner of the Old Town Square holding a bowler hat in his mouth. He's the faithful companion of Professor Filutek, a comic strip character beloved across Poland during the communist era. Now the legend goes, if you pull Filush's ear, supposedly it brings you good luck. Touch his tail for great love, touch the bowler hat for success in exams. But be gentle though. It's still a dog. Now we're moving on to the donkey. Harmless looking, cute bronze statue, except it's not really that. This is a reconstruction of a medieval punishment device, where the disobedient soldiers in Torun were made to sit astride on a wooden donkey with the sharp metal plated back. Heavy lead weight were tied to their ankles to push them down harder. They sat there in pain while the public watched and laughed. The bronze version on the square has still the sharp back, worth looking at, but maybe don't sit on it. Alrighty, now that you took a walk with me across Torun, let's talk money. The Old Town Square, the crooked tower, from the outside the Copernicus statue, the dog, the donkey, it's all completely free any day. The district museum in the town hall is around 21 zloty for a standard ticket and 16 for reduced one. The tower is a separate ticket, but a similar price. However, on Wednesdays, you can get onto the permanent exhibitions completely for free, so I would definitely plan that. Now, the Copernic house is around 31 zloty standard, 26 reduced, hence why I told you it's maybe not worth seeing if you're not like a big fan of astronomy or Copernicus himself. However, if you do go there on Thursday, that entry is gonna be free of charge, so again, probably worth going on that day. The Gingerbread Museum standard entry is 22 zloty. For the workshop ticket, to which I really recommend, is 35 on most days. However, again, on Wednesdays the museum entry is free, but you can still pay for the workshop separately, so that would come around to 21 zloty. You can always book the workshop online if in advance to make sure that you get the spot. Especially I would recommend doing that in higher touristy seasons, you know. The Fortress Museum standard ticket is around 18 zloty. Again, it's free on Wednesdays. For the Travelers Museum, this one is combined with the Far East Art Museum in the House Under the Stars. One ticket covers both, around 22 zloty standard, 17.50 reduced, and it's also free on Wednesdays. So my personal recommendation for you is to go visit Torun for at least 2 days on Wednesday and Thursday. This way you will get almost everywhere for free, and I think that personally this is more than enough time to see the whole city. If you want to, you know, stretch it out a little bit, add a Friday or add a Tuesday over there, it's alright, but I think 3 days is more than enough. Now let's talk food, because after all, this is not only a travel channel, this is also a food channel, and I will tell you all about it. So we already spoke about that magical pampuch with duck and gingerbread sauce in Monka. Now again, this is one of the most expensive dishes that you will get there. I will put the cost on the screen right now because I don't know if the price has changed. It costs this much, so it's not cheap, but it is worth trying, you know, once in a lifetime kind of experience. For the cheaper part though, you can visit almost any cafe. I went to this cafe and I tried some gingerbread flavored ice cream over there, and I will say they were pretty bomb. Honestly, I think that might be my new favorite flavor ice cream ever. You can taste the spice, you can taste the ice cream. I mean, it's a combination of both, and I just love it so much. And if you're looking for something to drink, I would definitely recommend getting that gingerbread beer. I personally tried a bunch of those beers. I brought some home too. One of my favorite was the dark beer. This one was, of course, gingerbread flavored, but it had hints of nougat in it, which was a very interesting choice and a flavor profile, if you will. Now on the screen there is a map of the flavor trail of Torun. These are the places you can go to. I personally just tried Monka and gingerbread ice cream and the beer. However, there is definitely plenty more to try, and if you go to any of the corner stores, you will find anything and everything gingerbread flavored. Now, if you do have any more questions, please let me know in the comments down below. Please think about giving me a subscription if you enjoyed this video, and some thumbs up. That lets me know that you guys enjoyed this video and I can make more of those. So it was great to have you here. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you will enjoy traveling Torun. See you in the next one.